All fun and games here at Sandown as we are back under green. The safety car has left the circuit. Brad Jones also after some contact with Stephen Ellery. Brad was the innocent party there, though. We get on with it. Jason Bargwanna continues to lead this race from Team Kiwis. Jason Richards, but just again repeating that neither of these two drivers have completed their pit stop.
And as you pointed out before, Lee, tough break for Jason and the Valvoline team because they hung out a little bit too long. Here's Bradley on the inside of Ellery.
Oh, we didn't see that earlier.
No, we didn't.
Now watch for the payback.
Look at this, watch.
Under brakes into the next turn.
No, look, what?
Contact with Bernard.
And another one, bang.
Two. Watch. Lovely. Bradley did a good job, didn't he? Because he turned left and came back on the circuit behind.
Like he was on his way to the Dandenongs for a moment there.
Jesus, Ellery hit everybody in the field there.
Brad pays a heavy price there. Gone right up into the grass and to rejoin the race right at the back of the field. Here's the battle for the lead, though. Jason Bargwanna, Jason Richards.
Barks is flying.
Oh, Rodney Forbes.
Anthony Tratt, he did a good job to miss that, didn't he?
He sure did.
This is just an indication of how slippery it's getting out there, how bad the vision is. All these cars coming off left, right and centre.
It just turns into an ice skating rink. It's so hard. I mean, Paul Radisich summed it up there beautifully before. It just, you've got no idea watching on television just how little visibility there is. There is the visibility out of the cars. That gives you some of an idea. Out of the cars is shocking, and the grip available is minuscule.
John Panozzo and the team at Gary Rogers Motorsport tell me that they have changed the setup on Jason Bargwanna's car between this morning's race, or the early race I should say, and this one. And Jason's reporting that it's handling really well in the wet conditions. Now, given what happened with the safety car there, they are going to keep him out as long as possible at this stage and try and stretch it almost to the end of the window.
Well, who knows what can happen. We've got such a long way to go, but...
Well, he was so badly trapped by being out there when all of a sudden the safety car came, but if he continues to lead it like he is at the moment and make a gap, then who knows? Well, here's more cars. Scaife, Stephen Richards is involved. This is getting crazy. It's getting silly. This is coming up to the final corner. Scaife's pointing the wrong way. There's Rodney Forbes, who is pointing the right way again after his excursion. Bradley went off before turn 2.
He's got damage to the front end of this car as well. How bad it is, we don't yet know.
Pretty bad.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Well, the interesting thing here, Marcus Ambrose is the first of the cars that's made its compulsory stop. He's in third position. He's only about 5 or 6 seconds behind Jason Bargwanna, so Ambrose is sitting in the box seat at the moment.
Yeah.
But not the champ. We have not seen it. Barely a scratch on this car.
He's going to go off.
Oh, he's gone off.
It's not making any aero downforce at all at the front, so, and there could be bits of fiberglass and rubbish in there, so Mark will be able to hear the thing scraping.
And I'd say that Jeff Gregg will have already told Mark to come on in.
Yeah, I reckon that he'll bring the thing in if it's got terminal front end damage. At a minimum, they'll bring it in and have a look at it, make sure the car is actually safe.
Look at that. That's on the back straight.
Jason Richards is now the race leader. I think Jason Bargwanna is either pitted or Richards has got past him.
No.
He has pitted, so there's Bargwanna. He's peeled off. Jason Richards now in the Team Kiwi. Commodore is leading this one. It's the first time he's ever led a Shell Championship Series race. A great moment for the Kiwis at the final round.
Real tough break for Bargwanna. Started the weekend in 19th. Stunning drive in the first race from 19th to 9th. Finished 7th in the second race and was leading in excess of 40 seconds in this one. That's all disappeared now.
They had a slight problem with the front left when they were putting it on. You might also be able to notice from that shot that Garth Tander's car is here in pit lane. They developed some sort of problem, and Garth is out of the car and none too happy at the moment.
And Mark Scaife's coming in. Let's have a look at the damage on the front of this car, and it's pretty substantial around the front left-hand corner. I understand that if Mark wanted to get a feel for the car on that lap, and if they can repair it, and he'd prefer to get back out there and go, that decision will be made by those looking from the outside, no doubt.
I'll tell you, he's absolutely charging at the moment is Craig Lowndes. He's gone from 16th up to 5th in the space of 3 laps. Gibson Motorsport Ford is absolutely marching through the field, and he's up to 4th in the order.
He switched it off.
It's not the way that Mark Scaife wanted to end this season. Here is the Shell Helix replay. Let's see what we can make of this.
Oh, this is Mark chasing the back of Greg Murphy.
Yep. what happens
And they're
here?
going into the turn 9. He's gone up the inside of Murph.
Gone straight on.
Ah,
Gone straight on.
right. What did all the damage, though?
He's probably going to hit something on the way out.
Stephen Richards was
There you
involved
go.
somewhere. There's
There you
Stephen.
go. That's what did all the damage.
Yeah.
He hit Richo. So just an indication of how slippery it is. Scaife saw him come off there in race 2. It's caught him again in race 3, but he's paid a big price this time. Damage to the car and retirement from the race.
Yeah, and it's a very disappointing end too. It had been going so well, but the conditions here are just so treacherous, Mark.
Yeah, that was a silly mistake of mine. I put up the inside. Right, I was going to make it okay, and understeered pretty wide and got up on the curb, and I was a bit excited about getting back on the black stuff and spun around, so I ended up hitting Steve Richards. He was the innocent party in the end, so that was a bit dumb. Not a good way to finish our year. I would have really loved to have gone a bit better in that one.
Besides that, though, mate, what are the conditions like out there at the moment? We've asked a couple of people. They just say it's ridiculous almost.
Well, at the restart, you drive down the straight, and at whatever speed, you cannot see a thing. So, you know, it's pretty wild, but as soon as you can get past a couple of blokes, you can actually see, and it's good, and it's fantastic fun. I mean, driving in the wet is bloody good fun, but you just, you know, I mean, you just got to keep your head a bit with it, Rusty, and obviously Scaife didn't do that today.
Keep smiling, but
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, he's hard on himself, isn't he?
10 out of 10 for honesty, though. Not too many blokes actually tell it as it is, and he admitted to his mistakes.
Look at Lowndes closing in on the back of Todd Kelly. This is the battle for 4th position. Kelly's running 4th. So Lowndes has absolutely
Look at that.
bolted through the field.
That's what Mark Scaife was talking about. When you're on your own, he's 100% right. It's I wouldn't be a guy out there that probably doesn't enjoy throwing the cars around, but when you're buried in that mist, it's a nightmare.
Lowndes is the fastest man on the circuit by a mile. A 1:23.6 was his previous lap. Everyone around him running in the 24s and 25s. So he's absolutely on the march in these treacherous conditions.
Well, Garth Tander, car 34 is in the garage. What's happened?
The demister's not working again, Rusty. It happened again. It happened in the second race, and it was working fine for the first part of the race. We had a great pit stop and great strategy. We jumped from 21st to being about 5th or 6th, and everything was going well. And then during the safety car, the demister stopped working, and it's not worth risking the car or myself out here. I took a stick out and wiped the windscreen last race, but I'm buggered if I'm doing that 2 races in a row.
Hard luck, Garth.
Thanks, mate.
I was
Good on him.
I was talking to one of the mechanics in there, and he said, "Oh yeah, a fuse went." So I said, "Stick a 4-inch nail in it, then." That's the best way out.
We're waiting for Jason Richards to make his pit stop, and once he does, Marcus Ambrose will be the race leader from Greg Murphy. And this man, race 2 winner Todd Kelly. Lowndes is still on the charge from Jason Bright, Steve Ellery. Paul Morris is inside the top 10 from Wheel and Bernard as well. Been a very, very entertaining race, and we have still got a long way to go. 20+ laps here at Sandown. And Richards has come in, so Ambrose leads the way, yet to win a V8 Supercar race. Can he do it today here in these tough conditions? Now Marcus Ambrose in the Pertec Ford continues to go from strength to strength and leads this race by over 3 seconds back to Greg Murphy. Now Craig Lowndes was in 3rd, but just as we were coming back from the commercial break, he's run off the circuit. Now this
is a replay, the Shell
replay
Helix
earlier.
replay of the earlier passing manoeuvre. This is passing Kelly for 3rd. He's got a better run out of the final corner, and they ran side by side down the front straight, but about a lap later, Craig's run wide, and those positions have now reversed again, and see that Craig's back in the distance. The actual gap between the top 4 is relatively tight. Ambrose, Murphy, Kelly, Lowndes, Jason Bright lurking around in 5th, then Ellery, Morris, Wheel, Ingle, Bernard, and Rick Kelly is 11th, Faulkner, Stevie Richards, Wills, Perkins, Stevie Johnson, Brad Jones down in 17th after the tour of the paddock.
I'm fairly sure it was because Marcus Ambrose just got a little caught up behind Tony Longhurst on that last lap, but Greg Murphy took 7/10 of a second out of him. We'll monitor that. Margin 1st to 2nd. Kelly 4th, Kelly 3rd, Lowndes 4th. Rodney Forbes off the circuit again. Steve Ellery running behind Bright in 6th. Morris, Wheel, Ingle, Bernard. Good job by Rick Kelly, isn't it?
Very good job.
Yeah.
Great job by this man. Marcus Ambrose is 25 years of age, originally from Tasmania, now based up on the Gold Coast. And as far as V8 rookies go, he has really done a sensational job in 2001, moulding a new team around and coming to terms with a V8 Supercar.
Lowndes is back on the case again with Kelly. This is second. Greg Murphy, Tony Longhurst is down one lap, and then the battle for third and fourth unfolding again between the Kmart Commodore and the Gibson Motorsport Ford. Lowndes went off down at Dandenong Road just on the exit. Looked like he went in there a little bit hot. The car seems to be quick. So, toured the paddock a couple of times.
If he can get by Kelly, Murphy's not that far up the road.
Jason Richards from Team Kiwi Racing has just come back into pit lane, not for a scheduled stop. He had to do a stop-go penalty. That's for pit lane speeding. So they've got the quick infringement there. I've also been down and had a word to Keys Wheel from the K&J Thermal team. They're really happy. They've completed a really slick stop, and the car is apparently handling exceptionally well out there. Paul's really pleased with it. Currently, he's in 8th position. That's a good effort.
That's a good run from him, and also Paul Morris is in 7th. So
Yeah,
both the Queenslanders.
You confirmed before, Lee, that that moment he had in the earlier race was just an aquaplaning moment at the end of the straight, which is pretty scary. And so I maligned accidentally Russell, because we were saying earlier that it might have been a Russell-related incident, which it certainly wasn't.
Talk about really showing him how to drive out there in the wet at the moment, Alan Heapy. Craig Lowndes is on such a charge.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a passenger in the car with him. I think I'd be dead by now, but he certainly is a very talented young man. The car seems to be working okay, but it is so easy for you to have an off out there at the moment. He's made a couple of places and he's lost a couple of places, but no, extraordinary talent, and yeah, just great to see him out there doing such a good job.
I bet you're wishing he didn't have to come in and do that second pit stop to pull the grass out. Can he pull the leaders in now?
Well, he's going to have to struggle, because the blokes that are in the first 3 or 4 places, or 3 places anyway, pretty tough characters, so he's just got to try and keep working at it, and there's a lot of the race left yet, and there's all sorts of things can still happen.
He's doing a good job. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, mate.
He set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap at 1:21.4. So, as Alan pointed out, he's certainly got the speed at the moment, but he's got to find the opportunity. And Todd will be a wake-up to most of the moves. He's one of them. Can he get it done? Oh, he's locked up. Will it turn? No, it won't turn.
That's what he did last
Place
time.
again. And that's been more costly, though. That has been very costly. He's lost a lot of time there to Todd Kelly.
Now he's back behind Tony Longhurst again. So you can see how hard Lowndes is pushing. He's just
and Ambrose coming up behind you. Richards
right on the limit. Forward in-car camera tells the story. Craig Lowndes, you can see, he is just pushing so hard, and he's driving on what is effectively a skating ring. Goes to the inside, gets Longhurst again, but there's no doubt about the speed of the car.
The car's got terrific speed, but it's just no good being off the road there. And what's happening is that when he comes out of the wheel tracks, there's so little amount of grip available that he just can't pull it up in time. Let's have a look at him dance. It's very delicate on the throttle in the wet compared to the dry.
Flatten it. Pretty quick one, that is, Mark.
See him modulating the brake, just trying to feel the road.
The really interesting thing about watching someone drive a V8 supercar, Neil, is the amount of trailing brake. You hold the brake right up to the apex of the turn.
Yeah. Just watch the throttle and the brake modulation. Watch it here. That's the reason he's strong in this race. He's got good drive off the corners. He didn't have to adjust the throttle at all then. It was one progressive application. As he came off the Dandenong Road, turn 80, he had to have a couple of shots at it. And that's the sign of a car that's working pretty well in the wet. But a lot of modulation of the brake pedal, try and just feel the road right on the limit of the brakes, in and out of it all the time, just to try and get it right to the limit.
It's working very well as he maintains his 4th position and tries to regain that lost ground to Todd Kelly. There is Team Kiwi Racing's Jason Richards.
Rejoins.
Fastest lap of the race now to Ambrose, 21:143.
Jason Richards in 21st place, and after holding out there, one of the last guys to come in for his compulsory stop.
What you were saying earlier on about Ambrose, Mark, imagine next year. I mean, all of this has been brand new to him. Oh, Jason looked like Craig. Jason Richards. Yeah, I mean, every race next year they'll have data, they'll have everything. He's been to the circuits, he's driven a V8 there, so you'd have to, if you're a betting man, you'd have to have a bit of heat on his side.
It's sort of deceptive, when you've got a 25-year-old rookie. There's McConville just getting back onto the track. A 25-year-old rookie in a V8 supercar, but rookie is, it's all relative. I mean, that only applies to V8 supercars. He's got an enormous amount of experience in open-wheeler racing.
I can remember Lee introducing me to Marcus here when he was just going to England. Do you remember?
Yeah, he used to come up and do some Formula Ford commentary with us.
And the amount of gravel coming out of the front of McConville's car.
Oh, that is McConville Corner, that, isn't it? That's where Cam went in there
just
upside down.
only just picked up the edge of it and managed to grab the throttle in the nick of time and just squeeze out. That was a pretty lucky save there for Cam. And you could see it as he went into turn one, he was on and off the brake pedal trying to get the front tyres to rotate but also slow the car down enough so he could steer it.
Jason Bright currently sits in 5th position. Russell Ingall sits in 8th. So with those positions, if they remain as is, Russell Ingall will have that runners-up position in this championship sewn up.
All he has to do, Ingall, is finish the first 19 and even if Brighty won it, he'd still finish second. Ingall would still finish second.
It's like quite a healthy dig in the side of Jason Bright's car.
Well, Glenn Seaton, you're down here in pit lane. Perhaps not so interested spectator. You'd probably prefer to be out there, I think, wouldn't you? What happened?
I just got down the end of the straight and got my foot on the brake and turned the car sideways. His aquaplane on the water and bumped the fence and ended up in the sand trap. But I'd actually probably prefer to be sitting out here at the moment, I got to tell you, because it's quite treacherous conditions out there. But it's naturally, without the rain coming down now, it's starting to clear a bit. But it would be nicer to be out there now than it was a bit earlier.
Let's talk about that very briefly. With the rain stopping now, it is still pretty wet out there. Will we get a dry line, do you think, by the end of the race?
I don't think you'll get a dry line, but it'll be a much safer situation to be in the straights, because before you're actually getting down the straight in top gear and you're actually wheel spinning in top gear, and that's something that gets the heart going, that's for sure.
Roll on 2002, Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Russell Ingall just sweeps up to 7th position, taking Paul Wheel in the K&J thermal car. An indication of how it's starting to improve slightly. Lowndes has done the fastest lap of the race at 1:26.2 on the previous lap, and that's the fastest lap we've seen all day. Craig is absolutely on it.
Definitely getting a sort of a water-free. It's, what was it, Neil? It's less wet.
Less wet.
Less wet.
Right.
A less wet line we're getting now.
Yeah.
Russell Ingall's got his wiper back.
Here we go, speed on the left. 230. How'd you like to be in those conditions at 247 kilometres an hour?
Yeah.
Fantastic shot this. We look at this at Mount Panorama. And camera over the shoulder of the driver. Gives you a bird's eye view of the Motec dashboard and all the amazing amount of information that's available to the driver.
While Russell has grabbed that better position, let's highlight the good performance from young Paul Wheel.
Yeah, great.
Who's sitting in the top 10. That's a pretty good effort. He started 16th and is currently running 8th. So he's halved his position. And a strong run from that small Queensland-based team. And one position further up the road from Ingall is Paul Morris, who maintains his 6th behind Jason Bright.
Quite incredible, the battle between Marcus Ambrose and Greg Murphy for the lead of this race. It's 3.2 seconds. It's remained virtually static. And despite these slippery conditions, those guys are lapping within 100th or a 10th of a second of each other each lap. Quite incredible.
David Bernard in the Caltex Haviland Ford currently runs in 9th position. And as we mentioned earlier, if you've just joined us and haven't heard the news, that Wayne Gardner will join this team and run in the same colour scheme as this in a limited program next year. Haven't finalised exactly how many races Wayne will do. He certainly will do the Enduros, perhaps about 5 or 6 races in total.
Well, not only is it the final round of the championship, but also the final time that Bridgestone will supply tyres to V8 Supercars. Have a look at this. This is their tyre garage. Garage sale this Sunday only. I'm here with Graham Brown, affectionately known as Mort. I suppose a bit of a sad time for you, Graham.
Mate, it is a sad time. We've had a fantastic 3 years in supplying the tyres for this category. Totally enjoyed it, and yeah, like there'll be a few tears in the eyes tonight, but quite a big celebration as well.
A few beers, I would say, as well. You got many to get rid of?
Yeah, we've got we're probably left with around about 400 dry tyres and probably 600 wet weather tyres. We couldn't thin it down any more than that, otherwise we ran the risk of not having enough to get us through to the end of the championship.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll still see you from rounds to come in up and down pit lane, no matter what you're doing, Graham. Best of luck.
Thanks very much.
Graham has been on the Australian motorsport scene for many, many years, and to he and Kevin Fitzsimmons, a job well done.
Yeah, that's a really hard act to follow, isn't it? I mean, Dunlop's really got a really difficult act to follow, because when you think they make a tyre that runs in Darwin, Neil, and also runs in Canberra, you know, for certain temperature
Look
difference.
at that. 120.5, fastest lap of the race so far for Jason Richards. So conditions are slowly starting to improve. There's a lot of cars now running in the 1 minute 20 second zone. 124.9 for Simon Wills, so he's just undercut Jason Richards by 100th of a second. This is a great drive. This man sort of following in Jimmy Richards' footsteps in a way. The web-footed Kiwis, they seem to go very well when the rain comes down.
If it continues to be less wet, as we describe it, the PlayStation fastest lap will probably continue to tumble one way or another. Lowndes has just changed that number again down to a 120.4.
3.5 seconds Marcus Ambrose is enjoying ahead of Greg Murphy, Todd Kelly. So he's doing it comfortably, Marcus. We look at Simon Wills in the Cat Ford. He's a little further down the order. Kiwi is currently occupying 14th position in this race.
When I was talking to Rick Kelly earlier on, I said, did you have any problems? You know, you were quite the way down the field. And he said, no, I didn't have any problems. I just get used to driving a V8 in the wet. I mean,
after spending a lot of all his career in single-seaters, this is kind of like strapping on the Queen Mary, and when you want to change direction, you need to tell it about 10 miles back.
Doing a really good job, though. When you think,
position.
yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? When you look at, he's in front of the lights like John Faulkner, Larry Perkins, Stephen Richards, Brad Jones, Barks, poor old Barks.
Well, Bargwanna went from 1st to 20th position, and he's worked up to 17th now. So how costly that was, just staying out and then the safety car coming out. Obviously nothing to do with him. Just going through shot, car 255. That's young Rick Kelly, the 18-year-old we've been talking about.
Another man headed for a baptism of fire will be Simon Wills' teammate for next year. John Briggs confirming he's already signed Pedro Lamy, the former Formula 1 and sports car driver, in one of his cars next year. So, boy, it's a real new education in a very different kind of race car in 2002.
Not surprised to hear that, though, because when I was at the Rockingham Champ Car race, Pedro Lamy was walking around like a lost dog looking for a job. So good to hear that he's coming down here. Murphy's been off the track.
He's back to 4th, so that puts Lowndes up to 3rd. It must have been a bit of a moment because Craig has been able to get in front of him. So Murphy goes down to 4th, just an indication these top guys still managing to slide off every now and again.
Lowndes lowering the fastest lap, PlayStation fastest lap again to 120.2.
So Lowndes continuing his relentless pursuit, driving the wheels off this Falcon in the worst conditions imaginable, pushing very, very hard.
Pretty costly for Greg Murphy. He's gone from 2nd to 4th. And is now some 9, even 10 seconds behind Marcus Ambrose, whereas that margin was only a little over 3.
Now Lowndes is just over a second behind Todd Kelly, who's in 2nd place, and he's only about 5 seconds down the road from Ambrose, so it could still be quite a thrilling finish. Here we are, and here it's not a second now. Lowndes is absolutely on the bumper of Todd Kelly.
It's been going on all afternoon, hasn't it? He's kind of he must think there's about 5 number 15 Kmart Commodores out there.
So Lowndes now sits in the slipstream of the Kmart Commodore as they flash past the grandstand. The Ford fans and the Holden fans are loving this battle. Absolutely incredible stuff from the top V8 supercar drivers in the country. On board with Craig Lowndes. He's in 3rd. And he's got Todd Kelly well within his gun sights.
15 laps to go.
He's been man of the match, Todd Kelly, hasn't he? I reckon he's done a really solid job. He's just on the road, neat and clean. It's a very strong weekend. He opened up the weekend with fastest time in qualifying on Friday, and he has done a brilliant job this weekend.
All he has to do is maintain his position, and he will. Well, he's got this round by the scruff of the neck. He will win this round the way he's going at the moment.
The race has been really good, really entertaining. I think, wow, you'd be sure they'd be done more than 34 laps, wouldn't you? It seems to have gone on forever.
On board with Lowndes. They come down through Victoria Bitter Turn.
And just to give us a bit better view out of the front of the Gibson Motorsport Falcon, the boys actually made an alteration to the wiper, and so that it sweeps further to the left.
With some of your influence, no doubt.
Well, actually, no, because you can't see the apex of the left-hand corners at the moment, so they made the sweep wipe. The sweep wiper. Yeah.
It's interesting to listen to the radio in Todd Kelly's car. Initially, when Craig Lowndes made an attack on him earlier on, the instructions were don't fight him, don't wrestle him, let him go past. I wonder whether this will be the case now towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Todd Kelly staring down the barrel of a round win here. So he's got to keep it cool. And he's certainly kept it cool all day. That drive in race 2 of a 3-race weekend this morning was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, there is no real reason for Todd to fight and stay there. He's got the round sewn up. Ambrose is 3.6 seconds up the road. That's going to be hard to retrieve to reduce that margin.
Well, it was out to 5.1.
Yeah, it was 5, I was going to say. Must have got held up somewhere, Marcus.
Well, the last lap around, Ambrose did a 1:21.9, and the other guys were in the mid-20s, so could have been traffic, may have been a moment, but Ambrose, the gap now to the lead is down to 3.5 seconds. Look at Lowndes here, filling up the mirrors of this Kmart car, and he's not going to fall into this trap again. He's tried that twice down there and it hasn't paid off. He's got to find somewhere else to put a move on Todd. Todd Kelly now, after several seasons in V8 Supercar, he's pretty wise to some of the moves that go on out there. So Lowndes is going to have to work for his supper here.
Bit of wheel spin that time. And Todd just getting off the corner without that wheel spin. You can see that he's just jumped out a couple of car lengths there. So
I don't think anyone at home, if they don't drive these cars, Neil, could comprehend the level of difficulty when you're driving at more than double the speed you would on a motorway, say, when it's raining. It's just quite extraordinary.
The worst of the vision. When I raced touring cars, I drove in the rain. I could not believe that you couldn't see where you were going. I thought it's incredible.
It's very awkward.
Frightening.
I think
well, I'll tell you what, the gap between these two and Ambrose is down to under 3 seconds now. 2.6.
Wow.
It's exactly a full second in one lap, isn't it?
Well, Ambrose has done another 1:21. The cars behind him a full second faster, so I don't know if Marcus is in trouble.
the key word is delicacy. You've just got to be so gentle, and most of the drivers find it hard in the early stages to curb their natural exuberance in the car to be able to drive in the wet. The tyres relative to the horsepower are pretty small. Not a lot of aero downforce on these cars despite popular myth, and bottom line is they break into wheel spin real easy.
This is an absorbing contest. This is a fantastic way to finish the 2001 V8 Supercar season. Look at how much.
Todd got a bit wide at turn 9. He just understeered a bit wider.
12 laps to go.
It'll be interesting to see how Marcus Ambrose responds to this as they're eating in. It's gone down another 3/10, so down to 2.3 seconds the margin between the Pertec Falcon, the Kmart Commodore, and Lowndes continues to push Kelly all the way.
Maybe Marcus is just starting to really lose the edge off his wets, and it can really affect your traction because there's 3 locations around here where that's just vital. And yes, it's a difficult moment because you know, Anthony, everybody out there who may be getting under pressure or lapped at the moment, a lot of them don't run a left-hand mirror, which I can never understand. But, well, I don't know. See, Marcus does, but Craig, for example, and other drivers I know, Wayne Gardner, don't like the left-hand mirrors at all. But it makes it hard when anybody goes up the inside of you on a day like today. Yeah. Very, very difficult to see. So it's a very difficult job for those being lapped not to accidentally turn into another car.
Lowndes continues to crowd the Kmart Commodore. They're coming up on Anthony Tratt and the Toll Falcon. As we grind on, there's 12 laps remaining in this final race of the 2001 season. Your race leader is Marcus Ambrose. He's done a fine job so far, but can he handle this pressure? His gap to Kelly is coming down all the time. Bright's maintaining a top 5. Paul Morris 6, Ingle 7, and Wheel still in the top 8, doing a good job. Whilst we're in the break, Craig Lowndes had Todd Kelly in his sights. Well, he's had him in his sights for a long time. He pulled out of the draft and the move finally stuck. The Gibson Motorsport AU XR8 slotted up the inside. And I'd say that there was a little bit there from Todd Kelly allowing Craig Lowndes to go by as well and not take that fight up any further.
Well, no point. He wanted the championship win, or the championship round win here, so he didn't want to throw it all away.
I think I just heard Todd say I'll let him go on purpose.
But look at this, 1.8 seconds is now the margin between Marcus Ambrose and Craig Lowndes. Lowndes is really on a mission.
This is a little perplexing because I've had a word to Paul Forgy and the team at Stone Brothers. They tell me there's no real dramas for Marcus. He's not complaining about his neck. He doesn't seem to think the tyres have gone off, so not quite sure. He's just doing his best to keep Lowndes at bay. And to expand on the other point between Lowndes and Todd Kelly, the pass that he made, there was a little bit of finger pointing going on down here in pit lane between the various team managers. At one point, they thought Todd Kelly's brake lights, rear brake lights, weren't working, but they seem to be working fine now.
Yeah, we had a shot earlier and they're certainly working just fine, but this is where we are focusing this battle first to second. Fords 1 and 2, Ambrose and Lowndes, and the gap, that's what we're monitoring. It was 1.8 seconds on the last lap. How much has Craig Lowndes taken out, if any, on this lap?
With a face of determination here. 3 times Shell Series champion and staring down the barrel of a very successful finish to his first season with the Blue Oval. Look at how cool he is in the car. It's amazing when he gets out of the car. He's barely got a bead of sweat on him. Very relaxed behind the wheel as he tries to hunt down Marcus Ambrose. 1.5 now, so he's really closing in on the Pertec Falcon. Great battle to the wire between the two Fords.
Been a very, very impressive run by both drivers. Updating you, Murphy has dropped back 2 more positions. Bright is now 4th. Morris is 5th. That's a strong run by the Big Kev racer. Now, is Greg Murphy in trouble? He is dropping down the order. Ingle is 6th. Murphy is yet to have come across the start-finish line. At one stage, as high as 2nd.
Murphy's actually coming to the pits. Murphy has pitted, so problems there for the Kmart Commodore. He was looking very strong.
Slowly and clearly.
You see, Marcus is saying, speak to me on the front straight slowly and clearly.
Yeah.
Well, he's having trouble seeing Craig behind him. I'm pretty sure he'd have a good view of him now. Of course, that car being in that black and silver colour scheme without particularly bright headlights, it'd probably be very hard to pick up in the spray. So Lowndes just sneaking around almost stealth-like behind the Pertec Falcon. Let's see if he can close the gap. 41 laps, 42 or 48.
There must be a real...
He's asking where he's catching him.
1.2 seconds now the margin, so another 0.3 of a second have gone between Ambrose and Lowndes, and time is running out. But there is certainly enough time for Craig Lowndes, if he continues to catch him at that rate, to certainly get up with the Pertec Ford and buy it.
Yeah, that's a really difficult situation to be in. If you can't see the guy that's behind, isn't it? It's even more perplexing because you're looking both sides in the back and you can't see.
And when he gets very close, you've got to be so careful you don't turn down on him. That's the difficulty.
And
hard.
6 laps remaining. 6 laps remaining. Keep on going, mate.
Whilst there's been so many fabulous drives, I think star of this race, that's for sure, has been 18-year-old Rick Kelly. He's up into 8th position, and this is his first full round in a V8 supercar. Did the Queensland 500, but the car didn't start. Did the V8 supercar 1000, sharing the Kmart Commodore with Nathan Pretty. This is his first drive all by himself. That's a fine effort.
Finished in the top 20, maybe in the top 15 for memory at Mount Panorama, so he's made a pretty healthy debut in V8 supercars. Just 18 years of age, could be the beginning of something of a Kelly dynasty at TWR.
A lot of rich black smoke coming out of Marcus's car, isn't there?
Always done. Stone Brothers cars always do it.
Now it's just closing on his prey. It's under a second now, 0.7. Murphy's out of the car, so major problems there for the Kmart Commodore after such a strong run earlier on. This is where the action is. These two Fords fighting it out right down to the close of play. 0.72 of a second it was last time across the straight.
The awkward part is if he can get to the back of him, where does he get by without going onto a greasy bit of road to try and do it?
I'd say at the end of the back straight if he gets a really good run out of this here.
Certainly appears to have slightly better traction than Marcus.
PlayStation fastest lap now goes to Paul Morris at a 1:19.8.
5 laps remaining.
Just had a word to Greg Murphy, and he was saying he was suffering a rather violent vibration in the car, something within the drive line. He said he just had to come in or it was all going to come loose and break down, so that was the only choice he really had, was to park it in the garage and end his day.
Get ready for it. Here comes Lowndes. There is nothing between them now. Lowndes is right on the back of Marcus Ambrose.
Got a lot of wheel spin exiting Dandenong Road, then just lost the advantage that he made up under brakes. Not unusual for, remember I mentioned yesterday, not unusual at Sandown to have transmission-related things. And remember, in total, this is nearly 500 kilometres of racing, a long way.
4 laps remaining for race leader Marcus Ambrose. He's got Craig Lowndes filling his mirrors left, right and centre as they come down the main straight in front of the grandstand. Who's going to win this? Lowndes sets up for a pass on the inside. Not quite close enough. Ambrose goes a little bit deeper under brakes. So Lowndes pulls the nose of the Ford back in. He's going to try again later on.
No V8 supercar wins alongside Marcus Ambrose's name in terms of a race. He has won a round before, but never a race. And as for Lowndes, as far as his turn in a Falcon, well, just that one race win earlier this year at Adelaide.
Good run out of this, I reckon, at the end of this.
Plenty of incentive, though, Baz, for Marcus Ambrose to win this
I
race.
totally agree,
and
Todd here, have a look at this.
Todd Kelly be hoping the two of them fumble each other. And,
yeah, exactly.
Look at this. Lowndes goes up the outside now. 250 k's on the approach to the S's. He's got him well and truly. Ambrose tries to fight back on the inside, but no. Lowndes has got position. So Lowndes goes through to take the lead. Incredible fight back from far down to 16th when they restarted this race. He came marching through the field in the space of 3 laps. He went from 16th up to 5th, and he slowly picked them off one by one, including a couple of incidents that's taken him right off the circuit.
Well, Marcus is hanging on. Oh, he's got up the inside of him.
Yeah,
he got him.
Got him. What a move. Well, he definitely knows where he is now, doesn't he?
Cannot afford to be napping with Marcus Ambrose sniffing around your tail. 3 laps remaining. He's so pumped up. There's Nancy Lowndes. Craig Lowndes' wife, Oscar Fiorinato, chief engineer in front. Boy, there's plenty of nervous people standing in these 2 pit garages now with laps unfolding.
That was a very good move, wasn't it? Really?
He's got a lot of confidence in the grip of this car, Ambrose, if he decided to dive back there. And he caught Lowndes napping a bit, I think. I think Craig thought he had it.
Oh, there was a touch there.
Certainly was. Tries to go up the inside, does go up the inside. Now back in front in the Gibson Motorsport Ford. Watch Ambrose respond.
I told you Todd Kelly would buy into this, didn't I?
Yeah, really. I'll have a piece of this.
You can hear the crowd in the grandstand are going nuts. And there's plenty of people with a pretty high heart rate in the pits as well.
I wonder if they're going to do anything about that touch.
Well, that's an interesting one because he did unseat him, didn't he?
Definitely, no doubt whatsoever about that.
Okay, mate, just keep on going. Keep on going.
Ross,
3 laps remain.
Ross Stone on the radio.
Marcus Ambrose, he said all year, oh boy, I really want to win a race. I know I won a round, but I'd love to get a race in my bag.
Paul Forgey's also been having a word to Marcus Ambrose. They're telling him if you can maintain the pressure. The cheers that went up when he came to this part of the circuit, the last lap around inside this pit were incredible.
2 laps remaining, just over 6 kilometres of racing at Sandown Raceway. What an incredible weekend it's been. Amazing stuff. And look at Lowndes now streaking away. The Ford flags are flying.
He's got enormous pace in the car and he's driving it fast and aggressively, but I don't know that anyone's going to be able to respond.
1.1 seconds the gap he's put on Ambrose in that lap alone.
That's a lot. That's a big gap.
So he's just got to keep it cool now. This car, the setup on the car particularly, just goes to show, Neil, you think of the bad races that Craig's had where the car's setup hasn't been at a top to it. You're always running around the back 10 or 15, you can look pretty ordinary. If the car's not right, you can't do your stuff, can you?
That's exactly right.
Another 2 laps, mate, another 2 laps. You've got a group of cars, maybe 6 car lengths behind you. Keep on going. P20.
Some reassuring words from the pit. Meanwhile, it's looking good for this man.
Once you reach a certain level, Mark, and there's probably 15 or more guys out there that are at or very close to the highest racing car level in the world, and it really gets down to the machinery around you and the group of people that you work with and how you maximise every element of performance of the car. And at any different point you can study this championship and you'll look at different drivers and teams have had some shockers here and there. But if you get all the numbers right and get the car set up well, then away you go. 1 lap to go.
Talking about having a car wrapped around you, you'll just be happy to have a car wrapped around you.
Yeah, I don't like this. It's stressful.
This is it. 1.6 seconds the margin. That's going to be tough for the Pertec Ford to catch up. Kelly remains 3rd, but Lowndes, what a drive. He's come from behind pretty much all weekend. The first race started 14th, finished 2nd. Strong result in the 2nd as well.
I think all 3 of these guys deserve reward today because all 3 of them have done a great job. We've seen some great passing moves, tremendous car control, and they've pressed on as though it was a dry race and used everything that the car had to offer.
We've had some really good races here this weekend, haven't we?
Very much so.
Excellent.
Good format, good distance.
Oh, look,
challenging enough. And look at this. Kelly is not happy to settle for 3rd on the final lap. pressuring Ambrose. We are nearing the end of the V8 Ultimate. And it's been it's been a challenging year for Craig Lowndes.
Somebody off on the outside down there. I think it might be Stephen Richards.
Parked in the sand. So a tough race for both FTR Falcons. You have to feel a little sorry for Marcus Ambrose that he's not going to get his maiden V8 Supercar win. But for Craig Lowndes, he's endured it and he wins the final race of 2001. Ends the year on a high note for Gibson Motorsport. Marcus Ambrose comes across the line for second, Kelly in for third, and Todd Kelly has won the round. Lowndes wins the final race of the year, but Todd Kelly picks up his maiden round win. So plenty to celebrate for many. Congratulations to Todd Kelly, and back-to-back round wins for the Kmart organisation. Murphy in New Zealand and Kelly here at Sandown.
Well, that'll be a huge relief for Craig and for the crew at Gibson Motorsport. And I'm sure it's quietly a proud moment for Jeff Politis from the Ford Motor Company as well, as Ford have continued their climb back through the championship this year. And as Mark Scaife said earlier on, they have offered more competition this year, and I think that's a healthy thing for the Shell Championship Series.
Last year they were top three, weren't they? Radicic, Ellery and... was it Radicic? Yeah, the top three last year.
And we should point out too that with 6th place in the final race, Russell Ingall has wrapped up second in the championship.
The team down here at Stone Brothers Racing are far from pleased about this result. They don't want to settle for second. Marcus has been on the radio already and said, get the officials to look at that pass that Craig Lowndes made on me. He is adamant that he's been hard done by. This may not be over yet.
What are your thoughts, guys?
Yeah,
interesting
disagreeing with that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have a look at a replay and see whether Marcus was out of shape or whether or not he was pushed out of shape. Certainly, whenever you're the one that comes off second best, you're never happy about it. And make no mistake, each of these drivers, and indeed all the teams, are aggressive about their business. This is not a gentle situation. This will be interesting to see what the body language is like between these two.
There's the wife of Craig Lowndes, Natalie, making her way down. Just watch Marcus Ambrose's response here. Shake hands.
Yeah. They're both a couple of gentlemen, actually.
They are.
Really.
Great response from the crowd here on the main straight at Sandown. And that's pleasing for Lowndes. John Davison, the promoter here at Sandown.
Yeah, have a look here.
Let's watch this Shell Helix replay. Lowndes coming in hot from behind.
Bang, there you go. Yeah. Say that was a tap. You know?
Oh, there's no doubt that he's made contact with him, but yeah, I don't know. Hard one to call, but...
especially when it's your teammate.
And especially when it's your teammate. Yeah, I don't know. I think...
relief and celebration for the Gibson Motorsport team as the champion walks on by Mark Scaife. Many, many reasons to celebrate. A very interesting series for that man there. Craig Lowndes, his first full season for Ford. Ambrose followed him home, Kelly in third, and that was enough to get the toddler his first round win. Jason Bright in for fourth, Paul Morris, well done. The big Kev racer in the top 5. Ingall, Rick Kelly, that's an outstanding effort in 7th, and Larry Perkins. Wills, Faulkner, Brad Jones fought his way forward, and Bargwanna very much hard done by in that one to finish 12th. Look at the positions a little further back. Larkham in 18th. Looking forward to a new season and a new sponsor next year. McConville, and then we get into the non-finishers, starting with Mark Scaife, Dougal McDougall, all the way back to Matthew White. We'll wrap everything up from Sandown right after this. Well, what a fabulous end to the 2001 season. What a thrilling race, and what a very intriguing and interesting weekend. This 3-race format, 150 kilometres each race, and plenty of people celebrating here at Sandown. The V8 Ultimate certainly was the ultimate weekend. We had a dry opening race and 2 wet races. Very interesting and tough for all the teams and all the drivers. It's time for the podium. Here's Mark Osler.
What a fantastic meeting at Sandown Park. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Ford and Holden, V8 Supercar racing at its best. Before I call up our heroes, I'd like to hear a few words from Martin Jolly from IMG, promoter of this fabulous event.
Thank you, Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could just, for 1 minute, I'd like to thank some of the major sponsors that we've had for the series this year. In particular to Shell, who have been a wonderful sponsor for the series for many years. To Ross Brody and his team, thank you to Shell. And to everyone at Holden and Ford for their ongoing support of the series. And to CUB and for this week, Mattel. And finally to the Network 10 team, to John McKelpie and David White. Thank you so much for what has been a wonderful series. Thanks very much, Mark.
Thanks, Martin. Let's get our heroes up here. He did a fantastic job for Ford this weekend, and he's got a crook neck to boot. Put your hands together for the rookie, Marcus Ambrose. Oh, the Ford fans love you, mate. What a great drive. I know you didn't get that first race win you've been hanging out for, but boy, you turned it on here today.
Yeah, so close. We ended up going down on the 5 cylinders then, I think. So, yeah, we just couldn't hold Scape Lowndes off down the straight there, but what a great year for me. And, yeah, look out 2002, I think we're real title contenders.
Put your hands together, folks, for Marcus Ambrose. A brilliant drive in the final round. Watch out for Ambrose and the Pertec Ford in 2002. They're going to be a real force. Well, keep cheering if you're a Ford fan, because the man who really turned it on today, a brilliant drive. What else can I say? Craig Lowndes! Well, they love you. You started off the season pretty strongly, lost form toward the middle, and now you've got it back toward the end. What a great way to finish the season.
Well, it's really a tribute to our sponsors, to the guys, the Gibson guys in the workshop. They did the work. I just drive the car, and really for everyone to stick by me all this year. It's been a tough year, but as Marcus said, bring on 2002, because we're going to be there, and so will you guys. Thank you very much. I want to thank my wife for sticking with me. I want to thank all you guys, and as I said, bring on 2002.
Bring it on, Craig Lowndes for Ford. Okay, save your biggest applause for this man. He's making his, I guess you could say, rookie V8 Supercar season this year. It's his first round win. A big cheer for Todd Kelly. We've even got our own champagne bottle down the front here, mate. How about that? You took your first race win, but a round win must mean so much more.
Yeah, the car's been going good all weekend, both in the wet and the dry. Very competitive though, you know, we had to work pretty hard for it. Thank you Holden, Castrol, Kmart, and well done to Scapey. You're on a top year. Holden wins a championship. Well done.
And can you believe how tough those conditions were out there today? That was unbelievable. I think your drive in race 2 was the best I've ever seen you do.
Yeah, well, Craig was pressing on pretty hard towards the end. He was driving fairly aggressive, and in the end I just had to let him go because we knew that we had the round win in the bag and we didn't want to risk it. So, yeah, they both did a good job.
For a young rookie, you must dream about this moment. How's it feel?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, we do a lot of hard work and training, and you realise what you do it all for on a day like today. So I'm glad it's finally come, and hopefully we can repeat this a few times next year.
Hope so. Put your hands together, folks, for Todd Kelly. Brilliant performance in the Kmart Racing team, coming on very strong toward the end of the season. Like to save the final award, and it's a big award. He's the man who's dominated the Shell Championship Series this year. Didn't go out the way he wanted to, but I want a big Sandown welcome for our new champion, Mark Scape. Ross Brody from Shell awarding the presentation to Mark. It's been a brilliant year. I know maybe it didn't finish the way you wanted to finish, but really you have been the dominant force throughout 2001, and no one can take that away from you.
Look, thanks, Mark. I mean, it's been a great year. Our guys have really worked very hard. To win 4 championships in a row is a great job, and to our sponsors, to Holden, to Mobil and Bridgestone and HSV and the rest of the guys, an outstanding effort, and thanks to all the supporters. Thank you. Well done.
Can you believe the atmosphere here? The V8 Supercar thing just goes from strength to strength.
Well, I think it's helped with Lowndes' result here, but I'll tell you what was a great job today is Todd Kelly's effort, and great for a young bloke to be coming up through, and they've done a great job this year also.
And tell me quickly, can you do it again in 2002? You just seem like you're hungry for more.
I'm going to try real hard, Mark, and I think we're in there with a big chance, so we'll be doing our very, very best.
A big cheer for Mark Skaife, the 2001 Shell Series champion, and a big cheer for all our V8 Supercar heroes. It's been a brilliant finish to the 2001 season.
The current champion and a future champion, Mark Skaife and Todd Kelly. It's been a fabulous weekend. Final summary with Barry Sheene and Neil Crompton after this break. We'll take a look at the championship points, though, as the champagne sprays. Of course, we know who that number one man is. Mark Skaife has done a wonderful job. Russell Ingall really had to fight hard this weekend, but he did it. He hung on to that runners-up position, and Jason Bright finishing third ahead of Greg Murphy, a tough one in the third race for him. Steve Johnson finishes 5th overall and Ford's top man, ahead of today's overall winner Todd Kelly. Paul Radisich 7th, and Marcus Ambrose, an outstanding effort to jump from 10th to 8th. More after this. Natalie Lowndes enjoying that victory every bit as much as her husband, and what a marvellous effort it was by the Gibson Motorsport driver. His AUXR8 doing a great job. Likewise, he did. It was a fairly tough race for him. But what a weekend. 3 races, 3 great races, 3 quite long races, 3 different winners. Barry Sheene, it certainly was entertaining.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, when you think the conditions out there today, I think it's a testament to how good those guys are, because, I mean, that was horrible conditions, and when you think how few accidents there were, and the racing was great. I mean, that was one of the best weekends races we've had.
Neil, I have to say, right from the outset this weekend, you said, I think this formula, this format, 3 150-kilometre races, is going to work.
Oh, no doubt about that. I thought it was always going to be good on this track. It's a track that always throws up weird and wonderful results. There's good opportunities to pass here. The weather was the wild card. We saw some great performances, echoing what Barry said a moment ago. Really, those 3 guys that were at the top of the charts just then, it could have gone any which way. All 3 of them deserve medals.
I said just a couple of moments ago, the current champion Mark Skaife and a future champion Todd Kelly. What were your thoughts on the toddler today?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, when you think about it, you know, it wasn't very long ago he won his first race at Canberra, and he's come on in leaps and bounds. I mean, when you think of the pressure he was under today, you know, and the whole weekend, I think he's done a brilliant job. And when you think of his young brother coming on, I mean, he's only 18 in probably some of the worst conditions we've ever seen, and I mean, he's done a brilliant job.
Tell us exactly how, as the guys, everyone's enjoying it here at Sandown. Just tell us exactly what those drivers had to go through today. That was very tough conditions.
As I stand here in the middle of the brain surgeon convention, they had to go through absolute hell out there. You know, it was unbelievably slippery, unbelievably dangerous conditions. I think, you know, that situation with all the standing water early on was very, very difficult, and not dissimilar to the conditions that we're dealing with here at the moment, I might mention. But no, they did a tough job. You know, as everybody will tell you that drove a car out there today, the conditions inside the cockpit are really unbelievably treacherous.
It's always a good time at this time of the year to look back, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but some of the highlights for you throughout 2001.
Well, I just think it's been a fantastic year. You know, there's no one race. Well, there is a race, actually. I think the best race I've ever seen, and that means Formula One motorbikes, everything, was the Saturday at Adelaide. The Saturday race at Adelaide was fantastic. And I mean, that was, if you wanted to showcase a V8 series, just stick that down and show it to anybody, and I defy anybody to say that wasn't the best race I've ever seen.
Well, coming into this Sandown round, we already knew that Mark Skaife was the Shell Series champion. That was beyond doubt. But second place has now been put beyond doubt. Russell Ingall grabbed that. He's with our Greg Rust.
Hey, is there any chance of you next year not carrying the bridesmaid tag for us? Just go out and win it, will you?
Jeez, I'll get some sort of complex, aren't I? Second again. But yeah, what's that? 3 out of 6 second. And always to those red cars as well. Look, very happy for the team. I mean, we came here on a mission to get second on the day, and we had a bit of a battle because Murph and Bright were lurking around. But look, they're wrapped. It's better than a kick in the backside.
She was a tough at the office today, wasn't it?
Oh, I'll tell you what, especially after that first race as well. I reckon, bar a lightning bolt hitting my car, I think I had everything else thrown at me. But no, look, just a really good day's racing, I think, and a bit of rain never goes astray, does it?
It's getting tough in V8 supercar terms. It's going to be even tougher to try and do it next year, do you reckon?
Look, I mean, it's hard. Like, I'm disappointed didn't win it, but then again, I look at how many people are in this category and how competitive it is, and second's not real bad, to be quite honest. Next year it's not going to get any easier at all. It'll get harder. A lot of people will be coming on strong next year, so we've got to step up and give it a run.
Hey, we'll have a couple of beers tonight. Well done on second.
A few thousand. Cheers, mate.
Knowing Russell Engel, he certainly will have a few thousand beers tonight. And just a quick reflection on that, those three coming into this round, Engel, Bright, Murphy, they were going to do it tough, but Russell held his head high, didn't he?
Yes, but it was a weird and wonderful round for those guys, and we talked at the top of the show about how there was this great thing to resolve for second, third and fourth and so on, and this might happen and that might happen, but they all had pretty fraught weekends one way or another, didn't they? So it just goes to show it's always possible to end up with a mixed result, but a fabulous championship throughout the year, and congratulations to Russell. One
of the real highlights of this category is it is Ford versus Holden. Quickly, Ford are getting there, aren't they?
Well, they really are. When you think about it, they won here last year, and you'd have to say with the way Ambrose is going now and the way
Steve Johnson finishing as top Ford.
Stephen Johnson, that's great for Steve because he's had a terrible weekend, and he's the top Ford for the year, and that's good, you know. And you've got to say that next year that it's going to be brilliant. I mean, it's been probably the best thing I've ever seen this year, but next year it's going to be. And we've got Crompton next year, so he's out of the box and in the car at last.
Well, we have that's the end of the motorsport year, but we have two more shows coming up that you might like to take a look at. Next weekend will be the V8 Gala Ball. The V8 Awards, it actually happens tomorrow night here in Melbourne. It will be on the box next weekend. And then in 2 weeks' time, the uncut version of the Mick Doohan special. Our Bill Wood spoke with Mick and he reveals quite a bit. You may have seen a shortened version recently, but this is the uncut version. Will run for a full hour, and we look forward to hearing from Mick. It's been a marvellous year, the 2001 Shell Series, and congratulations once again to Mark Scape. He's done a wonderful job. Look forward to seeing you on your home of Motorsport Network 10 in 2002.
Marcus Ambrose is round winning for Ford. That's a breakthrough.
Race control, the Radisich and Junior Johnson are the winners.